Welcome to Soccerholics TV. This afternoon's big match features current champions Manchester City at home to Newcastle United. Sky Blues are off to a good start already, winning 2, drawing 1, to leave them currently in 4th place with 7 points. As for the Magpies, they're not off to a good start at all, still chasing their first win, and were recently knocked out of the League Cup by Championship side Nottingham Forest. Can they turn things around today at the Etihad? It's a tough ask. Matchday number 4 is next from OperaBobs here in Toronto. Cheers. Full time at the Etihad, Manchester City 2, Newcastle United 1. Great result for the current champions. I'm joined by fans Xavier, Navdeep and Chris. Xavier, let's start with you. Post-match reaction. How was the team for you today? How did they play?
I thought the team played relatively well. Newcastle give us a good game, but obviously the class that we got in the team kind of prevailed in the second half with a fantastic strike from Kyle Walker to finish them off. I thought there's parts of the game that I didn't like. I'm not sure why he left out Sané. There must have been something going on there. But no, really enjoyed the performance towards the end and looked comfortable, but Newcastle did well to give us a good game. Yeah.
Navdeep, let's bring you in. One of your new signings, Mahrez, I think your only signing for the season.
Yeah.
How is he settling in? Do you see a difference in the way he's playing for you than he was playing for Leicester?
Yeah, I think he's settling in well as of now, but he still need more time to be the Mahrez we see at Leicester City than in Man City. But again, he has to realize that there are so many players in that midfield which are there, and I think so far he's good, but not up to the mark as of yet. But it's still early season. There are 4 games. You have to consider that we are in 4 competitions, so he'll still get his time, and then he'll be we can unleash what he is at the Leicester City. Yeah.
Now, Chris, obviously you're here every week in, week out, and you're used to seeing one of the guys who obviously makes this team, talking about Kevin De Bruyne. Injury for 3 months. You can really tell that the team is missing him, and I've been reading a lot of reports from Guardiola saying, there's a massive hole that's been left. Are you concerned about how the team will be playing now without him?
Actually, I don't agree with that at all. He's a brilliant player, but we have a squad stacked with brilliant players. And we brought in Mahrez this year. It's going to take time for him to adapt to Pep's way. He's doing things his way. He's doing things the Leicester way. It's not quite working yet, but time will tell. De Bruyne is brilliant. You can't, put him in any team, and he's going to make a huge difference, no question about it. But having said that, we have such a depth in quality that we can't use De Bruyne as an excuse at all. He's brilliant. We can win maybe 3-0 with him instead of 2-0. It's definitely not impacting us right now. It's very early.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I feel I'll just go back to the point about De Bruyne. I feel today we kind of missed that passing behind, that De Bruyne would have opened them up a bit more, maybe than some other players could today. I thought we missed him on that aspect, and I thought Aguero and Jesus were making those good runs behind, but didn't really have the, the pass or the, that went in behind, to get to be played through. And I thought we missed De Bruyne heavily in that sense. But like you were saying before, we have got that strength in depth in the squad where we should be able to win any game and any team. We should be able to beat without him in there. But he adds such value to the squad and such value to the team. I think he's going to be a big loss, I think. But it shouldn't be big enough where we will lose games. We just, like you said before, we're not going to win the 3 or 4-0s. We might win the 2-0 or 2-1s, but yeah. All
right, time will tell. Moving away from the Premier League, the draws were made this week for the 2 cup competitions. Let's get the easy one out of the way first. Carabao Cup, Oxford United away. Don't see a problem there, boys?
Should be an easy one. Yeah. It should be the-
So hang on, we lost to Wigan last year. Let's not get excited about this. You know, I mean,
Bogey team. Wigan seem to be the bogey team. I don't know what it is about them. Oxford should be, easy textbook. Textbook win shouldn't have any issues there.
The guys you played today, Newcastle, they lost to Nottingham Forest in the week. That was a shock.
Yeah, a big shot. I'd love to see in the Carabao Cup actually. I'd love to see players like Foden and a few of the younger lads get a start in those games. I'd love to see that, and I think they should, especially Phil Foden. I think he's a great player for the future. Yeah.
All right, and then the main one, obviously, Champions League. Here's your group: Lyon, Shakhtar Donetsk, and who am I missing? Hoffenheim.
Hoffenheim, yeah.
How do you feel? Any concern? Who's your concern team in that group for you? It's got to be probably Lyon.
Yeah. Because for once we got like an easy group in the Champions League. We definitely will be topping that group hopefully, and then I think then we get an easy draw and move forward on that layer. But then of course going to Lyon and playing in their stadium, that's a real challenge in the Champions League as of now. But we will be good in that. Yeah.
So I was going to say, I think for me, Hoffenheim, I think Pep would know how to play against them through his time in Germany. Shakhtar, I think we beat last year in the Champions League, so we know how to beat them. So Lyon will be the big one because I don't think we've faced them before in the Champions League, so they'll be a bit of an unknown. So they'll be our toughest test, but we'll have Pep will figure out a way to beat them. We'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Top the group easily.
Chris, your thoughts?
yeah, well, Shakhtar, that was the only game we lost in the group stage last year. But then again, we played not an EDS team, but we played a weakened team.
Yeah.
It was all over by then.
Yeah.
But what worries me is the Ukraine thing. We're going into Ukraine. I was kind of hoping that would have been later on in the group and it wouldn't have been a factor. But we saw what happened with Liverpool last year, just going into Liverpool with the buses and the flares and the bullshit, whatever, and we lost that game. Not a lot of people talk about the mental effect it has on players going in to a situation like that, where you're walking into a hotbed, a ridiculous hotbed. Well, you can get that in Shakhtar as well, right? And especially with the Ukrainian-Russian thing going on. I mean, it's tricky. I see them as being the banana peel a bit, But Lyon and I think we're all right. We're okay. No worries.
No worries. All right, and then just lastly, I think so. You guys became the first club in history. I hope I'm saying that right. To have a documentary filmed behind the scenes. Amazon did it. It's on Prime Video. You can access it now if you're an Amazon user. Zeve, you were telling me before off camera that you saw it. Let's get your thoughts. Just explain what that's like watching and give us a sense of people who haven't watched it.
It was phenomenal. I thought it was a fantastic insight into how a football club is not just run behind the scenes, but how in the dressing room, and you really want to see that from your team. You kind of wish you were a fly on the wall, and it give you that experience. It was fantastic, and for me, it just made me fall in love with Pep even more as a manager. His man management, his team talks, it was inspirational for me, and I loved every minute. I binge watched it one after another. I couldn't stop watching it. I thought it was fantastic insight into Manchester City, into your club, and I think more teams should do it. It should follow on.
Yeah, just say no. But do you think? I mean, why are teams scared of doing that? Because I think at the end of the day, you're giving more back to the fans and giving an insight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen that documentary in one go, 8 episodes. I haven't slept for that night, and 8 episodes on the go, because the icing on the cake was the season we had, last season. Because when they started the documentary, they didn't know whether we'll be champions or not. We scored 100 points, 100 plus goals, break every Premier League record there was to be broken. And then they give so much insight about the club. People talk about spending money and we got so much money. But if you look at that, you see the interviews of Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, the chairman of Man City. So he's man of few words, more of action. So he's know where he's spending. People talk about 200 million, spend. But then we bought 5 players. We had an aging squad, fullbacks, Zabaleta, Clichy. So we brought in new players, and then the results are there. So it's you are more tied to the club after watching that. So it's a really good thing to happen. Yeah.
So I think it's only going to bring in more fans for us internationally as well. I think it's a great thing for City as a club from a marketing standpoint. To get our name even more out there and to have such a fantastic documentary and to see people like Pep and the chairman so relaxed, because I think Pep worked with these documentary like the director I think at Barcelona, I'm sure he did a previous one, so he was so much more relaxed and so much more open about what he spoke about and his team. I thought it was just fantastic. It's fantastic.
All right, Chris, just give you the last word on this. So we saw today that 10 years since Sheikh Mansour took over the club, and they showed some interesting stats. One of them was, in the past 10 years, £1.5 billion been spent on players for Man City. And they showed us the trophy cabinet. You won a few trophies. Obviously, you must be happy as a fan that you're in this position, because 10 years ago, you guys worked. Right. So how does that make you feel as a fan? Like, because you're quite an older gentleman, you've been supporting the club for a while. So obviously, does that make you happy that money's obviously a massive involvement in the game, but that someone's taken a chance on this club who had no idea about football?
Well, of course it does. I'm sure they had no idea about football. I think they knew what they were getting into. They're not idiots. So, I mean,
let's just say he wasn't a fan of Man City, because I mean, when people buy a club, they're not normally a fan. It's an investment.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But I actually believe that Sheikh Mansour had some kind of, he had some kind of idea what he was doing when he was getting in, and it's more than the club. I mean, what he's done for Manchester and that area around it's just unbelievable. Being a long-term Manchester, born in Manchester, grew up in Manchester, and then seeing what they've done to that area is unbelievable. Having said that, from a personal standpoint, I love where we are. I've been through all of these last championships and FA Cups and League Cups that we've won and everything. Nothing will ever match 1968. Today, City against Newcastle, 4-3 to win the actual Football League, Division 1, back then, 68, with nothing behind us. Nothing. It was like we came from nowhere. Nobody injected money, nobody did anything. We won it all by our lonesome. Our biggest transfer was £60,000 for Francis Lee, £45,000 for Colin Bell, £35,000 for Mike Summerby. Tony Buck came as nothing. It was just the most unbelievable thing ever. I'm not diminishing what's happening now. What's happening now is a football revolution, and it's changed the face of football that we're going to know for the next 20 years. And we're part of it. We're all part of it. The three of us here, being fans and all those guys, it's fantastic. It's unbelievable. But 68, man.
Well, thanks, guys. I want to say thanks, Xavier, Navdeep, and Chris for being on the show. Special thanks to OperaBobs, and again, congratulations to Man City Supporters Club winning 2-1 against Newcastle United. From myself, Ben, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Soccerholics TV.
Come on, City!
Great.